The first 18 years or so of your life are like a free trial, and after that it's pay to play. The word swims upside down is still swims. If you attempt to rob a bank, you won't have any trouble with rent/food bills for the next 10 years, whether you are successful or not. Do twins ever realize that one of them was unplanned? Somewhere there are identical twins named the wrong thing, because their parents got them mixed up at an early age. Intentionally losing at a game of rock paper scissors is just as hard as trying to win. 100 years ago everyone owned a horse and only the rich had cars. Today everyone has cars and only the rich own horses. Asking for someone's name is just asking what noise you should make to attract their attention. Your future self is watching you right now through memories. The doctors that told Stephen Hawking he had 2 years to live in 1963 are probably dead. If you replace W with T and what, where, and when, you get the answer to each of them. How many miles has my thumb scrolled? Many animals probably need glasses, but nobody knows it. What if my dog only brings back the ball because he thinks I like throwing it? If you rip a hole in a net, there's actually fewer holes in it than there was before. If poison expires, is it more poisonous or is it no longer poisonous? When cartoon characters watch cartoons on their TVs, I wonder if they see it as cartoons or reality TV. The worst part of being a giraffe is having a lot of time to reflect on your mistakes while sinking in quicksand. If 2/2/22 falls on a Tuesday, it could be known as Tuesday. Why do the Ninja Turtles wear masks? Nothing else looks like them. An onion basically forces you the number of laps you've done around a giant fireball in the center of the solar system. Why can we drink a drink, but we can't food a food? I wonder how many people's pictures I've been in the background of without knowing. Is sand called sand because it's between the sea and land? A birth certificate is basically a baby receipt with no refund or return policy. Teachers have to be in school from age 5 until they retire. Teenagers drive like they have limited time, and old people drive like they have all the time in the world. Nothing is on fire. Fire is on things. Who else thought the black market was a real underground secret place when they were a kid? Years from now, there will be 2 vegetarians don't like each other. Is it still considered beef? I wonder how many times I've seen the same bird. If a dentist makes money off of people with bad teeth, why would I use toothpaste that 4 out of 5 dentists recommend? I wonder what my dog named me. If you clean your vacuum cleaner, you're making your vacuum cleaner, and you're a vacuum cleaner. If a blind person is dreaming, can they see it? If we were eyeless, we'd be unaware of color. What if we are missing some part of reality because we don't? What if your entire life is just your life flashing before your eyes, and you're already dead? Make sure to follow my submarine. What is silent in the word scent, the S or the C? Do all dogs bark the same language? If you expect the unexpected, doesn't that make the unexpected expected? If gym equipment was invisible, gyms would look like silent raves. Do bald people use shampoo or soap? Why is W called W? Shouldn't it be called double V? Why don't Jedis turn off their opponent's lightsabers by force pressing the button? Thanks to the popularity of GIFs, we are living in the golden age of silent films. Q is just Q followed by 4 silent letters. Bullets and fireworks are the only things that do their job, only after they are fired. The brain named itself. Why do noses run and feet smell? Once you've read the dictionary, every other book you read is just a remix. If you're a security guard at Samsung, does that make you guardian of the galaxies? Apple has air, Amazon has fire, Google has earth. Why doesn't Microsoft have water? Why is Greenland covered in ice, while Iceland is covered in green? Today is the oldest you've ever been, and the youngest you'll ever be. Dora calls herself an explorer, but travels exclusively through mapped territories. 2 people can never go to each other's funerals. If you drop the bar of soap, is the soap dirty, or is the floor clean? What if oxygen is slowly killing you? It just takes 75 to 100 years to fully work. How famous does a person have assassinated, instead of just murdered? Or board is Sweden. The remaining letters not used spells Denmark. There was one day when your parents picked you up and then put you down for the last time, without knowing that'd be the last time. When you say forward or back, your lips move in those directions. Doesn't extraordinary just mean that things are even more ordinary than usual? If a man with ginger hair works at a bakery, does that make him a gingerbread man? Every time you clean something, you just make something else dirty. A bachelor party is a lot more appropriate after a divorce than before a wedding. We never stop clapping our hands. Whenever we don't clap, it's just a longer duration between claps. When computers get hot, they freeze. I can't love you anymore, and I can't love you anymore mean 2 very different things. The word bed actually looks like a tiny bed. Does my dog think that the pizza delivery man is my owner? I wonder if I'll ever have to write Earth at the bottom of a postal address. You don't realize how little shampoo you actually need until you are almost done with the bottle. If you ever feel lonely, watch a horror movie. After a while, you won't feel like you're alone. When a UFO is identified as a UFO, it is no longer a UFO. Being a worm must be awesome. It's like, man, that dirt was great. I wish there was more. And there always is. USB sounds like a backup plan in case USA fails. As I get older, birthday parties are less about presents and more about presents. If you're 1 in a million, then there are 7,000 people just like you. My dog keeps bringing me the same toy. I wonder if that is his favorite toy, or if he thinks it is my favorite toy I'd taken out of it. The rule, there are exceptions to every rule, is the only rule without exception, making itself the only exception to the rule. What if phobias are made from how you died in the past life? Fat women are typically considered unattractive, but the fattest parts of women are typically considered the most attractive. Technically you are always starving to death. Eating just resets the timer. If I wore my shirt inside out, the whole universe would be wearing it except me. If a tomato is a fruit, then is ketchup a smoothie? If you spilled a cleaning product, did you really make a mess? The only time the word incorrectly isn't spelled incorrectly is when it is spelled incorrectly. You have probably never formally introduced yourself to your siblings. If you kill a murderer, the number of murderers hasn't decreased. If I had $1 for every girl that found me unattractive, they would eventually find me attractive. They just randomly said, "Nobody is going to believe you," and never spoke again. You should change lol to NE, nose exhale, because that's all we really do when we see something funny online. When you yell at your dog for barking at people, does he realize you're trying to quiet him, or does he think you're joining in? Why is it that when you transport something by car, it's called a shipment, but when you transport something by ship, it's called cargo? The trees planted on city sidewalks should be replaced with fruit trees, so the homeless had something to eat in the summer and fall. Does anybody actually remember the last few seconds before you go to sleep? It's impossible to imagine a new color. The phrase "fake it till you make it" applies very literally to sleep. It's weird how my brain automatically reads WTF as what the fuck, but still reads LOL as lol. Today earphones have replaced hats. You take them off only when you meet someone you have respect for. The sentence, "Was it a car or a cat I saw?" backwards is the same. Every time a celebrity dies, someone has to go through their Wikipedia article and change all of the verbs to past tense. Even though up and down are opposites, the phrases "I'm up for it" and "I'm down for it" mean the same thing. If you think of the unthinkable, doesn't that make it thinkable? Since you can learn any language when you grow up, if you raise a baby surrounded by dogs, will it learn to bark? An alarm clock is something we get frustrated at when it does its job, and also when it doesn't. The object of golf is to play the least amount of golf. Critically evaluate news articles before accepting them as true. Now that selfish people into pools again. Is it crazy how saying sentences backwards creates backwards sentences saying how crazy it is? It's the yawn. Netflix needs an incognito mode so that I can watch terrible films without getting recommended more terrible films. Waterboarding at Guantanamo Bay sounds super rad if you don't know what either of those things are. There should be confetti in tires, so when there is a blowout it's still kind of an okay day. The Bachelor is a show about a man dating multiple women at once that is primarily watched by women who hate men who date multiple women at once. Becoming an adult feels like slowly being put into a managerial position you didn't really want. "Do not touch" would probably be a really unsettling thing to read in Braille. In the future, imagine how many GoPros will be found in snow mountains. containing the last moments of people's lives. Your dog doesn't know you can make mistakes. When you trip over him in the dark, he thinks you got up just to kick him in the head. There should be a gym where the membership fee is extremely high at the beginning of the month, but you earn money back for every day you end up going and working out for at least an hour. I have never once hit the space bar while watching a YouTube video, with the intention of scrolling halfway down the page. Brushing your teeth is the only time you clean your skeleton. Netflix is like a refrigerator full of food, but with nothing I want to eat. Making fun of a fat person at the gym is like making fun of a homeless person at a job fair. Websites should post their password requirements on their login pages, so I can remember what I needed to do to my normal password to make it work on their site. Instead of all the prequel and sequel movies coming out, they should start making equals. Film shot in the same time period as the original film, but from an entirely different perspective. Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl got really lucky when they named their son Dash, as they had no way of knowing he'd have super speed as a superpower. If colleges really want to prepare high school students for today's job market, then they should only accept students who have at least 2 to 3 years college experience. If you aren't at least a little ashamed of your country's history, you don't know your country's history. Car horns should only be allowed to be in pitches C, E, and G, so whenever 2 people honk at the same time, it will be in harmony and traffic jams will sound like a symphony. There should be an app like Tinder but for jobs. Like, hey, you have 42 jobs that meet your qualifications near you. Then the company can swipe left for all full applications. X8, 8B8, 8 looks like the word voodoo reflecting off of itself. The person who would proofread Hitler's speeches was a grammar Nazi. Your shadow is a confirmation that light has traveled nearly 93 million miles unobstructed, only to be deprived of reaching the ground in the final few feet thanks to you. A bed is a shelf for your body when you are not using it. The best item to protect you from Bigfoot attacks is a camera. Dogs probably destroy shoes because they see humans put them on before they leave the house. Go to bed, you'll feel better in the morning, is the human version of did you turn it off and turn it back on again. If you swap the spinach for beer, then any episode of Popeye becomes a better story of a raging alcoholic, right down to the speech impediment and tendency to fight people who he believes are trying to steal his girl. Shrek is a movie about loving yourself for who you are despite your physical appearance, but during the entire film they are making fun of Lord Farquaad for being short instead of all his other detestable qualities. Since smartwatches can now read your pulse, there should be a feature that erases your browser history if your heart stops beating. Know How I Made $1 Million books include the author starting their journey to wealth by reading a book about how to make $1 million. When you drink alcohol, you are just borrowing happiness from tomorrow. My debit card pays for things with past hours of my life, and my credit card pays with future hours of my life. If Goldilocks tried 3 beds, then Mama Bear and Daddy Bear slept separately, Baby Bear is probably the only thing keeping the family together. Vampires only suck your blood for vitamin, drinking and driving. In the event of an apocalypse, I would spend the first 20 minutes wondering why the internet doesn't work. If someone farts at a poker tournament, no one will ever know who did it. The sinking of the Titanic must have been a miracle to the lobsters in the kitchen. Most orchestras are just 1800s cover bands. The Google self-driving car should have an "I'm feeling lucky" button that drives you to a random location. I would rather spend 10 extra minutes driving on an empty road than be in traffic. We should have a holiday called Space Day, where lights are to be shut off for at least an hour at night to reduce light pollution, so we can see the galaxy. You can tell that the Flintstones lived a very long time ago, because they're a single income working class family with their own house. When I was a younger person, I had to use the Oxford Dictionary to understand adult words, and now that I'm an adult, I have to use Urban Dictionary to understand younger people words. Cell phones should have 2 passwords for unlock, one which would be for you and unrestricted, the other would be for your parents or friends that wouldn't show awkward applications or photos. What are snails even trying to do? I wonder if my dog always follows me into the bathroom when I go to the toilet, because I always follow him outside when he does, and he just thinks that's how it works. As a bald, hairy man, I should probably shampoo my body and use body wash soap on my head. You never know how many people you dislike until you have to name your child. As a dishwasher, I come home after hours of work in which I get covered in filth, and I take a shower only to realize I'm the final dish. You can use the link below to see more shower thoughts and submit your own for a chance to appear in future episodes. Every How It's Made video should be archived in the event of an apocalypse. He died doing what he loved would be a horrible thing to say at a drug addict's funeral. Facebook shares are just the new FW of stupid images and jokes. It would be really weird if emotional dramas had cry tracks, similar to sitcoms with laugh tracks. Every day, someone on Earth unknowingly does the biggest poo in the world for that day. I drive safer when there's food on my passenger seat than when there's a person sitting there. Cowboys that ride off into the sunset quickly run out of daylight and have to camp just outside of town. Probably should have just stayed put for the night instead of being all dramatic. Having a toddler is like being on a permanent escort mission. A low AI character tries to follow you around, and if you're not careful enough, they'll find a way to kill themselves. Sleeping in is considered lazy, but going to bed early is not. If self-driving cars kick in fast enough, women may never be able to drive in Saudi Arabia. As a child, the concept of having a favorite color seemed more important than it turned out to be. You know you're an adult when your house makes noises and you're scared it's an expensive repair bill and not a monster. Thanks to the internet, I have probably seen more naked ladies than all of my ancestors combined. On any given day in a hospital, you can find people having the best day of their life, the worst day of their life, the first day of their life, and the last day of their life all under one roof. You can use the link below to see more shower thoughts and submit your own for a chance to appear in future episodes. I don't appreciate the time that I don't have a cold nearly enough as I should. You should be able to yell "be right there" to your phone, and since it knows you're coming, It gives you a few extra rings before sending the user to voicemail. People argue with me more in my head than they do in real life. Nothing says top of the food chain like squidding calamari pasta. You're eating another animal and seasoning it with its defense mechanism. 2 days off. Typical weekend. 3 days off. Well rested. 4+ days off. Forget every single element of what it takes to be a functional member of society. I wish I had a Mario Kart-like ghost of myself punctually getting ready for work in the morning, so I'd know if I was running late. Bruce Wayne's parents being murdered was the best thing that ever happened to Gotham. Adblock should buy out signs around Times Square and replace them with this ad has been blocked by Adblock. There should be a take your parent to work day so that they can see what their kid has grown up to be. To the dinosaurs, we live in a post-apocalyptic future. Due to the evolution of bacteria with respect to our body's natural defense mechanisms, traveling forward in time could kill you, and traveling back in time could kill everyone. Because telescopes work using mirrors, we'll never know if there are any space vampires. I should ask my barber where he gets his haircut, then go there and slowly make my way up the chain until I find the greatest barber in the world, or perhaps just a bald dude. If a doctor told me that I have 6 months left to live, I would approach it as any other deadline, and probably just be lazy until the last month. You can use the link below to see more shower thoughts and submit your own for a chance to appear in future episodes. Me not being able to watch the interview was the first I'm bored when I listen to a song from my personal music library, but when it's played on the radio I get excited like it's the greatest song ever. In a submarine battle you can be under fire, underwater, on fire, and taking on water all at the same time. As a kid, I had absolutely no idea that my favorite thing as an adult would be doing nothing. I can't remember a single product I've seen advertised on YouTube. Not one. My brain registers the ad as an impediment to what it wants, and immediately shifts my focus to something else until it's over. Someone should use screen recording software to record an entire day's worth of working on spreadsheets, and post it to YouTube so that I can play it full screen and pretend like I'm working. For most of human history, vehicles had automatic collision avoidance, and could even take you home when you were sleeping or drunk. Then we got rid of the horse. While growing up, the Bermuda Triangle seemed like a real threat for a while there. There should be a website where you can sign up and swap your Halloween costume with another person every year to save yourself money. You could seriously piss off your neighbors by buying a puppy and naming it the same as their child. I'm so afraid of commitment that when choosing a default app to open a file, I always pick just once over always. The Star Wars films are set mainly in outer space, yet they've never once shown a zero gravity scene. I spent 7 hours vividly hallucinating there. And I woke up and ate the meat of other animals for energy. Now I'm going to do something I don't want to for 8 hours for pieces of paper. You can use the link below to see more shower thoughts and submit your own for a chance to appear in future episodes. Art is how we decorate space. Music is how we decorate time. I would like to give thanks to the brave men and women who died a long time ago, tasting which plants were edible and which plants were not. You know it's time to check your bank account when you're too afraid to check your bank account. Whenever I type etc, it usually means I'm completely out of examples. The moral of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is that no one likes you unless you're useful. At age 30, you've spent a month having birthdays. We put clocks in our mobile phones, so we didn't need to look at watches. Now we put mobile phones in our watches, so we don't need to look at our mobile phones. The fact that Google auto completes all of my questions is an affirmation of how unoriginal all my problems are. Hundreds of people put thousands of hours of work into a project, just for me to watch 2 minutes of it on Netflix then say never mind. In a 500-day period I could theoretically meet someone, get married, have a baby, and get divorced, and yet I'd still be using the same box of Q-tips. Facebook's list of suggested friends is quite literally a list of people I've been avoiding my entire life. The world isn't getting dumber. It's just easier for dumb people to get their thoughts heard. I never realized how short a month is until I started paying rent. I sold an hour of my life for $13. Doesn't sound nearly as good as I make $13 per hour. During childhood, we are told that jokes about the genital areas are adult content, but once we become adults, these jokes are considered childish. You can use the link below to see more shower thoughts and submit your own for a chance to appear in future episodes. When you think about the future, your mind is time traveling. Waking up with a hangover is like rebooting in safe mode. The main functions still work, but it's impossible to get anything else done. As an adult I think about running away, way more than I ever did as a kid. The iconic alien is to us what we are to apes, small, pale, big-headed, and with unfathomable technology. We even abduct them for medical experiments. Batman is a 1%er beating up the mentally ill. Why are wedding dresses bought and tuxedos rented? The utility of each is such that it should be the other way around. Food doesn't really go bad, something just starts eating it before you do. Isn't it weird in movies sometimes, when there's a fight on top of a truck yet all the cars behind them will be driving like normal, like this is real messed up, but I'm not going to be late for work. My phone knows how to route me around an accident miles ahead in real time, but still hasn't figured out what the hell I'm doing when I pull off the road into a gas station. Touch-free soap dispensers are pretty pointless, if the soap actually works. When my parents owned a huge VHS camcorder, they filmed everything. Now that there's a video camera in their pocket, they film nothing. It's hard to win an argument with a smart person, but it's damn near impossible to win an argument with a stupid person. Trying to get rich by playing the lottery is like trying to commit suicide by flying on commercial airlines. When I unsubscribed from a newsletter and get an email confirming that I've been unsubscribed, it feels like they needed to be the one to say the last word in an argument. You can use the link below to see more shower thoughts and submit your own for a chance to appear in future episodes. Mummies are just upper class zombies. Your house, or in the forest, you're afraid that you aren't alone. Having Facebook, there is no more reason to have high school reunions. You already know what people are up to and you still don't care. I just now realized the connection between the words timid and intimidate. My dog and I are best friends despite sharing almost no interests. The leather jacket I've been wearing for 10 years has been worn longer by me than the cow that it came from. After clearing your browser history, there should be an option to have it filled with random normal websites, instead of it being all empty. Letting your date use your phone charger, even though you're at 25%, is the 21st century equivalent of putting your coat over a puddle. I wish I could see a woman that I know is equally as attractive as I am, so I know how attractive I'm to the opposite sex. Mosquitoes are like dirty used needles that can fly. Google Maps should have a scenic route option for when we are not in a hurry and just want to enjoy the ride. YouTube should permanently disable ads on Rick Astley is never gonna give you up, so the joke isn't ruined. If you wanted to be incognito by choosing the most common first and last name in the world, you'd really stand out. Mohamed Wan. If you're over 30, you were alive before every dog in the world. The only reason that shower thoughts is even a thing is because showering is one of the very rare times that it is impossible to have your face buried in the internet, thus enabling your capability for abstract and creative thought. You can use the link below to see more shower thoughts and submit your own for a chance to appear in future episodes. The Olympics should give out platinum medals to anyone who breaks a world record. By the end of this century, people will start looking up their ancestors on Facebook. I wonder if, through evolution, rain sounds are soothing at night because there's less of a chance of predators in a storm. The human body is really quiet for everything it does. You think you're unique until you have to choose a username. My resume is really just a list of things I hope I never have to do again. Considering how there's no traces of humans in the film, The Lion King could be set in any era. It could be the Bronze Age, 21st century, or a cyborg future where humanity has gone extinct. I wish I could wipe current thoughts from my mind, like I can close running apps on my phone. Zombies should be naked from the waist down. All of that weight lost to dehydration and rot would cause their pants to fall down. What if all the ancient Greek sculptures are actually victims of Medusa? The average student learns calculus at a slightly younger age than when Isaac Newton discovered it. Nightmares are fucking weird. Your brain is the author, viewer, and cinema of a horror movie whose script is probably written as you are viewing it. I can't believe a James Bond movie didn't come out in 2007. Amazon should have a Secret Santa feature where you buy an item for a random person who has it on their wish list. Why hasn't anyone strapped some cameras onto a sperm whale? They regularly dive into the deepest parts of the ocean and supposedly fight giant squids. Our ultimate goal is to make as many people as sad as possible when we die. If there were people who could read minds, they would hear an awful lot of songs, sung with incorrect words, and likely very out of tune or rhythm. As a kid, I thought being able to perfectly reproduce my signature would be much a bigger deal than it actually is. While Apple's new campus is being built, I wonder how many jokes have been made about installing Windows. We live in a world where lemonade is made from artificial flavors, and furniture polish is made from real lemons. In the near future, thanks to self-driving cars, drunk driving will mean waking up on the side of the road somewhere, out of gas because you thought Disneyland was a good destination at 3 AM. As an early 90s child, I'm really glad that a 6 to 15-year-old me couldn't post my thoughts all over the internet. Taking candy from a baby would actually be a responsible thing to do. I have an undergrad degree in math. I wonder how far back in time I have to go to be considered the world's greatest mathematician. Urban Dictionary is nice, but I could really use an urban thesaurus. I work for one of the richest companies in the world. Sounds a lot better than I work at Walmart. Great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss people, is a quote that discusses people. Ever noticed how supervillains are always trying to change things, and superheroes always try to resist the change? Babysitting is a way for teenagers to feel like adults, while adults go out to feel like teenagers. A baby is initially in water, womb, then comes to land, born, then crawls on the body, then walks on 4 feet, then stands up and walks on 2 feet. Just like the evolution from fish to reptiles to mammals to humans. Wait, I have an important announcement. We have created a website for you to see more and post your own shower thoughts. The most upvoted submissions each week will be featured in my new videos. A successful marriage ends with watching the other person die. In paintball, you should be allowed to use a paintbrush as a knife. Having anti-piracy messages on legitimately bought and legal DVDs is like lecturing a punctual classroom on attendance. I haven't heard a damn thing about acid rain since high school. Despite being an island, Antarctica has no south coast, only one big north coast. Beatboxers must be really good at demonstrating the noise their car has been making when they bring it to a mechanic. One of the perks of being a woman is that no one can ever surprise you with a kid years later and tell you you're the mom. People who ask easily googled questions are looking for interaction, not answers. My standard of living is far greater than that of a king in medieval times. My present self wants me to do my work later, but my future self wants me to do it right now. People who don't sleep enough die sooner. People who do sleep through that extra time. The fact that since our skins weren't warm enough, we stole the skins of other animals and wore them instead is pretty creepy. Now that I'm older, I realize the joke isn't that Squidward hates his job, but that SpongeBob loves it. Procrastinating is just enjoying all the side quests in life whilst you delay the main quest story mission. Imagine being completely naked in a room full of people who speak a different language and everyone wants to touch you. This is the life of a dog. Most people's first word of the year is happy. To submit your own and see more shower thoughts, use the link below. I'll be using the best ones in my videos. Your stomach thinks all potato is mashed. My baby only says baby. This is the closest I'll ever be to having a Pokemon. Why is Homer Simpson considered a professional failure? He is able to support a whole family in their own house as the sole learner. Gorillas don't know any bodybuilding techniques, so we have probably never seen one at full potential. I imagine my browser eye-rolling every time I open a new incognito tab. If horses were carnivorous, they'd be terrifying. The lottery is a great example of how if everyone just pitched in a couple dollars, how much money could be accumulated to get something big done. For Halloween, Snapchat should add a person standing in the background, only after you take the picture. What does a golfer do when they retire? Most people retire then take up golf. When a browser asks, would you like to remember this password? There ought to be a button that says only if it works. You know shit just went down in a TV episode when they show the credits with no music. The Assassin's Creed series is going to run out of time periods where it's normal to have large piles of hair lying around. Adding an E to the end of a word makes it seem old, but adding one to the beginning makes it sound high-tech. Scary movies should put high-pitched sounds only dogs can hear, so your dog will start acting crazy for, seemingly, no reason at the scariest parts. I never realized how great having no food allergies is. I can go to the store and literally buy anything without having to check the ingredients. Wait, I have an important announcement. I have created a Shower Thoughts Facebook page where I'll be posting daily exclusive content. You can use the link in the description to like the page. One day someone will use I thought I was still in virtual reality as a criminal defense. I can search the entire internet faster than I can search my computer. Mosquitoes are grossly overlooked as a threat during the zombie apocalypse. I'm an organ donor. If I die tomorrow, my death will be cause for major celebration for a total stranger. The speed of light is 186,000 miles per second. My car is 8 years old and just hit 186,000 miles. So it took my car 8 years to travel as far as light does in a second. When I'm in a hurry, every slow or easygoing driver pisses me off. When I'm not in a hurry, every aggressive driver pisses me off. At a 27.44 miles per hour top speed, it is illegal for Usain Bolt to run in a school zone. I make $30,000 a year sounds totally different than I will sell you an hour of my life for $14. In Stuart Little, the Little family walked into an orphanage, looked at every child there, and decided on a rodent. If you would mount garbage trucks with cameras, you could weekly update Google Maps Street View. I swallow my own saliva hundreds of times a day, but the idea of spitting into a cup and drinking it makes me gag. Never in my entire life have I been naked for 24 hours straight. If your house burns down, there is probably a point where some food is perfectly cooked before it's over. You never realize how few original Christmas songs there are until you work in retail and have to hear the same 6 songs sung by 10 different people in a 4-hour shift. To submit your own and see more shower thoughts, use the link below. I wonder if my cursor has passed over every pixel on my computer screen. If I was teleported to the Middle Ages, I'd have no idea how to recreate any current technology. When you step onto asphalt, you are standing on a nearly unbroken web which extends over almost the entire continent. If there's a mean dog or a wild horse in a movie, they have to train an animal to act untrained. Saying I've lost the stylus for my tablet would have also made sense 2,000 years ago. Wherever a fatal car crash or pedestrian death occurs, a red square with the year of the accident should be permanently included in the pavement. Seeing a lot of red squares in a given location would make drivers and pedestrians more careful. There are 7-year-olds in America who have never had a white president. I wonder if a murderer has ever crossed my path, contemplated murdering me, and then thought nah. In Japan, radiation creates monsters, Godzilla, and in America radiation creates superheroes. All my professors this semester have degrees from Harvard, so I guess I'm getting a Harvard education. When you're a kid, staying up late makes you feel like an adult. When you're an adult, staying up late makes you feel like a kid. Phone numbers in movies should be real numbers that just play commercials for upcoming movies by the same studio. Most teenagers pull their phones out of their pockets to check the time. We are reverting to the era of pocket watches. I've used my driver's license more to buy alcohol than to prove I'm a registered driver. To submit your own and see more shower thoughts, use the link below. The most suspicious thing you can bring on an airplane is a parachute. The moment after I post something than the moment before. Google Maps should have an I need gas feature. This button would redirect your route through the nearest gas station. Condoms are one of the most environmentally friendly things invented by man. A single one has the potential to eliminate the carbon emissions of an entire human over the course of their lifetime. I wonder if, in past times, the space on Earth currently being occupied by my kitchen was the site of an epic life or death battle between two giant dinosaurs. Humans spend the first 18 or more years of their lives getting caught up to speed about what the other humans have been doing for the past few thousand years. The engineer who invented automatic doors is eternally the greatest gentleman. It's Raining Men and Let the Bodies Hit the Floor are about the same event, but wildly different perspectives. The term as soon as possible is quite aggressive when used, but when you break it down to what it actually means, it sounds quite reasonable. Netflix and chill has to be one of the largest unintentional ad campaigns in history. It's strange that the adoption process is so strict and rigorous, and yet any two people can produce with a capitalized letter and two numbers. My bank pin hash is 4 digits. When I don't text people back right away, it's because I'm working, busy, or just don't feel like talking at that moment. When people don't text me back immediately, I think they're either dead or hate me and are purposely ignoring me. To submit your own and see more shower thoughts, use the link below. Only mortals have told me that it would suck to live forever. It would be scary as hell if the entire ocean was clear like a swimming pool. What if ghosts don't kill us? Because then we'd be ghosts and it'd be super awkward. It would be a good idea to have the prices right with billionaires, just to see how out of touch they are. You know that your game of Monopoly starts to escalate when someone asks for the game instructions. AOL, who I have never given $1 to, still hosts my email address from 6th grade, and yet my university, whom I've given over $60,000 to, deleted mine within a year of my graduation. In high school, eating lunch alone is considered lame and can result in bullying. In a busy office, eating lunch alone and undisturbed is considered a luxury. Task Manager should have an end as many tasks as possible without crashing my system button. I'm more comfortable talking with newer friends because they are familiar with the newest incarnation of me and hold less expectations. When drone technology becomes cheap enough, hands-free umbrellas are gonna be the shit. Tapes had A and B sides, so it only made sense to transition to CDs. Two of the biggest problems after a hurricane are not having enough water and having way too much water. Death would be much more terrifying if it was actually possible to live forever. If someone told me to transport a $30,000 object that, if mishandled, could kill everyone around it, I would walk it so slowly and carefully to its destination. But I drive my car with one hand while messing with the radio, going 70 miles per hour. To submit your own and see more shower thoughts, use the link below. The reason I want to get ahead in life is so that I can be lazy once and for all. Remember that every corpse on Everest was once a highly motivated person. Somewhere in the world, there is somebody with your dream job that hates going to work every day. Based off the amount of people who seem to actually use their turn signals when driving, it's a good thing that reverse lights turn on automatically. I think we should all take a moment and be grateful our bodies don't poo while we're asleep. Over the past year, I've taken so many before pictures of my body while telling myself I'm going to start working out. I basically just have a slideshow of me getting fatter. Maybe plants are really farming us, giving us oxygen until we eventually expire and turn into mulch which they can consume. I definitely used way more glue in the first The invention of a battery-free payment tool that fits in your wallet might be seen as an improvement. When I procrastinate, current me really expects a lot out of future me. With as much as I use my cell phone, I don't believe it's ever made an appearance in one of my dreams. I never burn bridges, I just fail to maintain them, and let them structurally degrade over time. The first immortal creature will probably be a lab rat. When a company offers me a better price after I cancel their subscription, they're just admitting they were overcharging me. I'd never lick my dish sponge, but I happily rub it all over stuff I eat out of. If someone tells me they're dumb, I assume they're smarter than they think, but if someone tells me they're smart, I assume they're dumber than they think. To submit your own and see more shower thoughts, use the link below. My way of flirting is looking at the person I'm attracted to and hoping they're braver than I am. If you're 24 years old, you've already been around for 10% of American history. The Olympics should have a for fun section at the end of all the games, so all the athletes can try different sports. Randomly hearing your favorite song on the radio is more satisfying than playing it directly from your iPod. Every time someone in a movie has to draw blood, they always cut the palm of their hand. Surely this is the least convenient place to have a deep cut. If you go to jail for tax evasion, you're living off of taxes as a result of not paying taxes. In my life I've purchased at least 50 cans of WD-40. Right now I can locate 2. I've never thrown one away, and I have no idea where the rest went. Theme parks can snap a crystal clear picture of you on a roller coaster at 70 miles per hour, but bank cameras can't get a clear shot of a robber standing still. If someone forgets to clear the time on the microwave, after 3 minutes it should automatically default back to displaying the time. If my calculator had a history, it would be more embarrassing than my browser history. As a graphic designer, my entire career exists because I was able to pirate Photoshop 10 years ago. If Employee of the Month won a private bathroom instead of a parking spot, I would be way more motivated at my job. Growing up, I thought slow dances would be a bigger occurrence in my adult life than it is. Most animals don't recognize their own reflection because their brains aren't complex enough. I wonder if humans have observed something which we cannot comprehend or even know we cannot comprehend, because our brains lack that complexity. To submit your own and see more shower thoughts, use the link below. A zoo is a really safe place to fart. It's a little ironic that my lazy clothes are the exact same as my gym clothes. An unlimited minutes per month phone plan really only gives you 44,640 minutes per month at best. If fish keep declining, future generations will think plenty of fish in the sea is a sarcastic quip meaning they will never find anyone. The biggest lie in taco commercials is someone taking a bite of a hard shell taco and it not immediately exploding in their hands. American journalism has gotten to the point that readers are criticized for not fact-checking news articles. Students are stereotypically viewed as being lazy, but I worked 10 times harder as a student than I do in my career now. It's crazy that there's this giant thing in the sky all the time that we are not supposed to look at. I don't think we are thankful enough that the whole world agreed on the same units of time. I wish web browsers would wait until after I've successfully logged in before asking to save a password for a website. The movie Snowden should be leaked online before it gets released in theaters. 3G used to be the best thing going. Now, when my phone's indicator says 3G, it pretty much functions like I have no signal at all. It's sad that having real ingredients in food products is a selling point. A telephone makes sound travel faster than the speed of sound. When I bake bread, I give thousands of yeast organisms false hope by feeding them sugar, before ruthlessly baking them to death in an oven and eating their corpses. To submit your own and see more shower thoughts, use the link below. When medication says do not operate heavy machinery, they're probably mainly referring to cars, but my mind always goes to forklift. If cats had wings, they'd still just lay there. If Santa keeps a record of the naughty kids each year and the year doesn't start till the 1st of January, then that leaves the 6 days after Christmas and before New Year's undocumented. Nothing you do in that time can be held against you. Once she hits a certain age, calling a female a big girl goes from being a compliment to an insult. I sit 50 minutes in class having no idea what's going on, and then watch a 10-minute YouTube tutorial and understand everything. A guy can decline an invitation by saying his girlfriend won't let him go and everyone will likely understand. But if a girl declines an invitation by saying her boyfriend won't let her go, people will likely get concerned. There is nothing quite so beautiful as a spark in a person's eye when you bring up something they are passionate about. It makes no sense that women's pants have fake pockets, but baby pants have real pockets. If I get up 10 minutes earlier than usual, I treat it like 2 extra hours and end up late for work. I have absolutely no clue what most graffiti says. I'm just amazed at how the artist got where they painted. My parents taught me to be kind and humble, honest and hardworking, and to save an unnecessary fuck ton of plastic bags under the sink. Every paper towel commercial reminds me that the cleanest solution is to just not have children. Movie theaters should charge babies as adults to deter people from bringing them. Even though I'm on the computer 12 plus hours a day, when I'm dreaming I'm never really using a computer. It annoys the piss out of me that old cars turning signals tick at slightly different intervals. The craziest prediction that the TV show The Jetsons made about life that far in the future was that a man could still support a middle-class family of 4 by working in a factory. If Apple owned the ISS, it would spell disaster for other spacecraft that wanted to dock with it. Lawyers hope you get sued. Doctors hope you get sick. Cops hope you're a criminal. Mechanics hope you have car trouble, but only a thief wishes prosperity for you. Movie theaters should have a headphone jack option, so people can plug in and hear the movie without hearing idiots talk behind them. You know you're old when you fall down and no one laughs. Earth is like a guy who knows exactly where to stand next to a bonfire. When I accidentally type my password into the username box, I always feel like someone is watching me and saying, "Finally got him." I don't know a single person who would want a thinner phone over a few hours of extra battery life. There should be a millennial edition of Monopoly where you just walk around the board paying rent, never able to buy anything. The only thing fire drills actually teach people is how to sarcastically leave a building as a group. UPS will leave a $900 video card on my porch without even knocking, but I have to sign for a $10 pizza. Telling my Echo to tell my Roomba to start working creates a weird robotic hierarchy in my household. Sleep should be rolled over. Like, oh, you got 20 hours of sleep today. Cool, man. You don't need sleep for the next 3 days. It's weird how fact-checking and news are treated like 2 separate concepts nowadays. If someone offered to pay for my food and rent for the next 18 years, I'd do anything they ask of me. But I complained every time I took the trash out while living at my parents' house. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. If you would like to help support my channel, please leave a like and click the bell icon to get notifications for my videos. Thank you. I find strangers attractive because they haven't pissed me off yet. You don't realize how loud normal everyday activities are until you try doing them at 3 AM in a sleeping household. I wish I had a voodoo doll of myself so I could give it a back rub. As a dad, I wish developers would make a game where Play It helps you just by mashing random buttons. Popping bubble wrap is not as fun when you realize that you are releasing toxic Chinese air into your home 1 cubic centimeter at a time. Humans are really bad at recharging. It takes about 8 hours charge for 16 hours of use. Autocorrect should be named Auto Assume. It doesn't know if the changes are correct. Whenever you buy and eat half a chicken, you are secretly sharing a meal with a stranger. Taxes are like a subscription to your country that you can't cancel, no matter how bad the service gets. No matter how legitimately thrilled I'm by a gift, I always feel like my thank yous don't sound genuine. Someone should make a documentary where they fly a flat earth theory supporter to a space station for a couple of days. Some women want their outfit to be noticed. As a male, I would prefer nobody noticing it so I can still wear it the next day. A rolling stone gathers no moss, but a moving ceiling fan gathers dust like a motherfucker. If the movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids took place in Australia, those kids would have died real fucking quick. Spider-Man being disliked by his city even though he does good things is like a metaphor for spiders eating flies but still being hated by humans. Bonus: J. Jonah Jameson always trashing Spider-Man in his paper is like a metaphor for hitting a spider with a rolled up newspaper. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. I'd gladly get knocked out in 48 seconds for $3 million. As a kid, I loved zoos because I loved animals. As an adult, I hate zoos because I love animals. The older I get, the more concerned I am that every new ache and pain is going to be permanent. If you don't drink alcohol because you have recovered from alcoholism, you're admired. But if you don't drink and never have, you're weird. Emma Stone is what Lindsay Lohan could have been. Charlie Chaplin once said we think too much and feel too little. I think that was his generation's problem. My generation's version should be we feel too much and think too little. Now that I'm a dad, I strongly suspect my own dad wasn't as clumsy and bad at games as he appeared to be. Go jogging at 5 AM and your neighbors think you are an early riser health nut who probably has to get to work early. Go jogging at 3 AM and they think you are a sketchy tweaker who probably doesn't have a job. I would never steal a credit card and use it to pay for stuff, because I'm sure I would not get away with it. But I'm scared of people stealing my credit card and using it to pay for stuff, because I'm sure they would get away with it. Anxiety is like a spidey sense that has absolutely no idea what it's doing. For a non-native speaker, making a pun demonstrates the highest understanding of language. As a native speaker, making a pun demonstrates the lowest understanding of comedy. Christmas feels more like a deadline than a holiday. I just realized that whenever I hear a walk into a bar joke, I've been picturing the same bar my whole life. I wonder if it exists somewhere, or if it's just a mesh of different bars I saw on TV as a kid. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. Even though I have never done it in my life, I'm fully confident in my ability to count to 1000. I'm a phenomenal secret keeper because, deep down, I really don't care about your shit enough to actually talk about it. Whenever I see an inspiring story of someone who goes from 600 pounds to lean and fit, I mostly think, okay, I guess I can get to 600 pounds and still recover, so I'm okay for now. The older I get, the more I want to get off work early and rush home as quickly as possibly to do absolutely nothing but be a part of my couch. The first thing you get after obtaining a bachelor's degree is a sudden lack of respect for people with bachelor's degrees. In 20 years or so, I'm going to have to jailbreak my car to drive above the speed limit. Everyone is going to be very disappointed when famous people keep dying in 2017. The reason the real joke is always in the comments is because it's way easier to add comedy than to create it from nothing. This is why your hilarious friend can't just go on stage and do stand-up. As a child, whenever I saw a limousine I always expected there was someone rich or famous inside. Now when I see a limousine, I expect it's a bunch of trashy high school kids. TED Talks would be way shorter if people didn't start clapping every 10 seconds. Fitbits are just like Tamagotchis, except the stupid little creature you have to keep alive is yourself. Turning 18 would be a much bigger deal if it was impossible to lie about your age on the internet. When I was younger, I trusted my parents' driving skills without a doubt. As an adult, riding with my parents terrifies me. I have gone too far in my life without thinking of turkey eggs. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. Sneezing is like using sonar to find polite people. Nerf darts cost more than most bullets do. The Onion might go bankrupt because they can't compete against the reality now. In college I used to line up my empty alcohol bottles as trophies. Now at age 35 they're artifacts of shame. Having kids is like having really drunk friends who take 18 to 25 years to sober up. I'll rewatch the same 5 shows over and over, but starting a new show takes some serious convincing. You still look forward to the weekend when you're unemployed, because it's time off from feeling unemployed. You can usually tell how much internet experience someone has by the way they phrase their searches. Whoever turned baby into a romantic term of endearment should have been placed on some kind of list. People use the "you're adopted" as an insult, but adoptive parents often put so much time and effort into adoption that they are overjoyed to have their child. If the universe is infinite, fiction doesn't exist. I bet that insurance rates in the Marvel universe are insane. Tinder bots that match must have secret conversations all the time, and we'll never know. Never once have I been unwillingly redirected to the App Store and thought, wow, I should totally download this app. The most disturbing thing about suddenly switching bodies with another human would be tasting the inside of their mouth. There are millions of suits and dresses buried underground. Wearing someone else's underwear seems gross even after laundering it, but using fork and spoon in restaurants that have been placed into hundreds of different strangers' mouths doesn't bother most people. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. Actually making eye contact would be really gross. If I eat my meal from the frying pan at a restaurant, it's sophisticated and a sign of quality. If I do it at home, I'm lazy and disgusting. Drinking alcohol to get drunk is just drinking poison, and the right does to mess you up but not kill you. You know you're getting older when you transition from not having enough money to buy games to not having enough time to play all the games you bought. Seeing your friends from completely separate and different friend groups interact is like watching characters from different movie genres have a crossover. The generation that said we used to solve our problems on the playground with fists is the same generation that complains about how much violence there is among kids. According to supply and demand, the cost of milkshakes should be through the roof since the machine is always broken. 14 minutes and 16 minutes both seem very specific, but 15 minutes always seems like an estimate. After March, there will be a whole generation of kids that know Emma Watson as Belle instead of Hermione. When I was 20, what am I doing here? Was an important existential question. Now that I'm 66, what am I doing here? Involves staring at an open refrigerator. The terms bullshit and horseshit refer to the truth or untruth of information. Batshit and apeshit refer to one's mental state. Chicken shit refers to someone's lack of courage or fear. The first time a stripper jumped out of a cake must have been the most legendary bachelor party. Even if I agree with your bumper sticker 100%, I still think less of you for having a bumper sticker. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. An hourglass has more moving parts than a complicated wristwatch. George Washington led an army against Great Britain, so that one day we could stuff tiny portraits of him into strippers' underwear. Harry Potter named his children, like someone obsessed with Harry Potter. There are over 100 billion dead people. If there is a skeleton war, the living don't stand a chance. If a naked woman wears sunglasses, it's like she's wearing the opposite of a burqa. Drive-thrus that won't serve pedestrians are basically saying they have a strict dress code that requires you to wear a car. Never once have I written an email and thought, I hope they know I sent this from my iPhone. Going to the bathroom with your cell phone at work is this generation's smoke break. Pulling an earbud out when you see a friend is like the modern equivalent of tipping your hat. Monopoly would be a lot more realistic if everyone started out with wildly different amounts of money. In my life I've bought at least 20 pairs of nail clippers because I lost the last pair, but I never take them out of my house, meaning there's at least 19 places I haven't seen in my own house. If I were approached by a person 4 feet taller and 10 times stronger than me, I'd be very uncomfortable, but toddlers are totally cool with it. When I was 14, I thought I was so cool because I hung out with 20-year-olds. Now that I've grown up I've realized that they were weirdos for hanging out with me. Bill Gates is like a video game character who's unlocked everything. All he can do now is self-imposed challenges like cure malaria to keep things interesting. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. A really underrated accomplishment is that toilets don't require power to flush. Grocery stores in California charge $0.10 for one paper bag to discourage waste, but they mail everyone in the neighborhood paper junk mail without anyone asking for free. It's annoying that when drinking hot chocolate, the marshmallows move away from my mouth, but when drinking water the ice tries to force its way into my mouth. As a child I pretended to like carrots for my parents. As an adult I pretend to like them for my child. I fucking hate carrots. If you froze an egg and threw it through somebody's window while they're not in, they would come home to a broken window and a raw unscathed egg, and wonder how the hell it happened. Just a thought. I see a lot of older people post that we survived lead paint, no seatbelts, no helmets, etc. You do understand there are people who didn't, right? That's probably why they can't post it on Facebook. Monday the 13th seems like a way unluckier day, because Monday. Airports should have small movie theaters for layovers. They would make a killing. Constantly driving stolen cars in GTA must be so uncomfortable, since everyone's seat and mirrors are adjusted to the owner's liking. It's strange that water bottles have nutritional information when all the values are always zero, but alcohol, which contains tons of calories and sugar, does not. The Romans understood the concept of heat creating lift, yet never applied it to flight, and hot air balloons weren't invented until 1783. I wonder what seemingly obvious connections we are missing today that could change the world. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. If I were a ghost, I'd barely haunt anyone. I'd spend my time in nature exploring jungles, caves, and oceans without the fear of dying. Every time I find a new favorite song and eagerly check out the artist/band for more, it turns out that's the one song that's different from the whole rest of their career. I'd pay good money to see TV show bonus episodes in which the actors swap scripts around and do their best impressions of each other's characters. I just watched a mom calm her baby down by saying pizza and handing him a slice. Made me feel uncomfortable, since I'm a grown-ass man and that would work to calm me down. Conspiracy theorists say don't believe what they tell you, but then proceed to try and make you believe a theory. The first person to do a cover of a song is the most original, an original person ever. I bet the first person to upload a cat video to the internet had no idea what they were starting. If I saved money in real life like I do on video games, I would be a billionaire. Somewhere out there is a guy in prison for stealing VCRs. We had nuclear bombs before we had color television. Tires should have a different colored layer that's revealed when they are too worn out. Windows should put a search this on Google button on error messages. Regret is the wet sock you get from not picking up the bit of ice that fell on the kitchen floor 15 minutes ago. The only people I use the phrase ladies first with are my male friends. Someone out there holds the highest rock, paper, scissors win-lose ratio, but they don't even know it. Every bullet ever fired since my birth has missed me by a certain number of inches. I wonder what the lowest number is. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. Pulling out your phone and fake texting to avoid looking suspicious is the modern version of putting your hands in your pockets and whistling. Whoever started the tradition of the groom not being allowed to be present while the bride shops for the wedding dress should be awarded a Nobel Peace Prize. All human staff will eventually become a selling point for restaurants, like free range or fair trade. Dreams are the ultimate you had to be there story. If everybody on earth blinked simultaneously, nobody would ever know. Punk bands singing about high school were cool, until I grew up and realized it's people in their mid-20s complaining about high school. If you threw one bird at the other bird really hard, you could kill two birds without the need for the stone at all. Much more efficient. My parents carried credit cards for emergencies. I carry cash for emergencies. The dread from thinking you might throw up is 100 times worse than actually throwing up. I secretly give Adam Levine huge loyalty points for never ditching Maroon 5 and going solo. Congratulations to drugs for consecutively winning the war on drugs. The placebo effect has probably cured more people in ancient times than the actual medicine available at those times. There are over 7,500 different types of apple, but only one apple juice. 6 months is just the right amount of time it takes to forget how to adjust a car's clock. I have never met a person in my life who sticks their gum under a table, but when you look under most tables there's always gum. I didn't see the irony when I used to get mad at my Sims for wanting to watch TV or play computer games instead of building their skills. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. I hate having to prove to a robot that I'm not a robot. I'd like to see a slow motion video of earphones getting tangled in a pocket, because I just don't believe it sometimes. Ironically, the internet was invented to save us time. If I see my dog lick his butt, I refuse to let him kiss me. But if he comes in from another room and tries to kiss me, I'm cool with it, even though I know there's a very good chance he's been licking his butt. Twice a year, on Daylight Savings Day, I'm reminded that no matter what we believe, when we put our minds to it, we can all come together to achieve some pointless shit. If your username is John68, I assume you're 49 years old. If it's John69, I assume you're 12 years old. If a ghost can open cupboards and break things, why not just take a pencil, find paper, write exactly why it's unhappy, and tape the message on the fridge? I often pick up an old video game really wanting to play, and then get bored within minutes. It's because I don't want to play it as adult me. What I really want is to go back in time. As an introvert, I get more enjoyment from being invited to a party than I do from attending the party. When the person you're dating asks what are we, it's like the free trial period has expired and you have to decide whether or not to get a subscription. It should be socially acceptable to be able to turn off from the world and ignore everyone for a day or two without having to explain why or feel weird about it. The man bun is the mullet of the millennials. Being scared to end a relationship is like receiving the "Are you sure you want to quit? Any unsaved progress will be lost" pop-up for the game of life. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. Punishment for honesty is what makes us lie. I always judge how good a movie is by its ability to make me forget to check how much of it is left. The worst part about dinosaurs being extinct is that some of them probably tasted awesome. We are missing an entire category of meat. In this day and age, texting 911 should be available in all areas. Who wants to risk their intruder hearing them while hiding in the closet? Someone laughing after they are finished crying is the human equivalent of a rainbow. Cinemas should play a clip with someone saying, "Okay Google, silencio. Hey Siri, adjust volume to 0% before the movie starts." There have been entire civilizations who would never have known that water has a solid form. I don't know what color my grandparents' hair originally was. They were always gray when I knew them, and their youth pictures are in black and white. As I continue to go bald, every day is both the worst hair day of my life and best hair day I'll have for the rest of my life. When I was younger, I'd to try and impress people by how expensive an item was, but as I've grown up, I now try to impress people with how cheap I got something. In the age of Google, knowing the right questions to ask really is more important than knowing the answers. Google just gave me 21,900,000 search results in 0.62 seconds. And I got annoyed because what I wanted wasn't on the first page. At one point, the richest man on the planet just had more berries and shit than the others. If I appeared in front of my dog through teleportation, he would oversee the fact that I teleported and be happy that I'm home. Submissions will be featured in future episodes. When someone in your neighborhood is having a BBQ, it must be the same feeling when sharks smell blood in the water. If I say I've been great, I've been good. If I say I've been good, I'm doing alright. And if I say I'm doing alright, I'm nowhere near alright. If a girl says my girlfriend, she could be talking about a friend or her SO. If a guy says my boyfriend, he's almost definitely talking about his SO. Saying a in phone conversations with my mom is like mashing the button to speed up NPC conversations in video games. We make fun of people Instagramming their food, but lest we forget that, during the Renaissance, lots of artists were just painting bowls of fruit. There shouldn't be a stigma about going to the movies alone. The activity where you can't talk to someone should be the one you can do alone. No one deals with rejection more than Internet Explorer requesting to be your default browser. Google could be lying about how many search results it gives. No one's going to actually check that far. I bet half of online arguments could be prevented if people had to put their age next to things they post. Shopping with my girlfriend is like being the NPC party member of an RPG. I have more ancestors than all my ancestors. University is great because you're effectively an unemployed alcoholic, but your parents are really proud of you. When you correct someone's math, you're awesome. When you correct someone's grammar, you're an asshole. It's interesting that the older generations that warned millennials not to talk to strangers are the ones who click virus links and emails from people they don't know. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. My fingers are slowly 3D printing my nails. It must be a bitch for an actual Nigerian prince to get anything done via email. Sometimes I confuse time and money and think there is only 60 cents in a dollar. The real heroes are the cameramen and women who film golf tournaments and are able to quickly find and follow golf balls against the sky. When I'm 70, I'll be yelling at kids to get off my Wi-Fi instead of my lawn. There's probably a person smarter than Einstein somewhere in Africa, working all day to get a few dollars to feed his children. An animated film should have all unknown voice actors. I would rather get lost in the film instead of focusing on a famous actor's voice. I don't dislike mornings. I dislike being woken up and having to do a bunch of stuff right after. One advantage of being a woman is that no one can surprise you with a kid years later and say that you're the mom. Couches are amazing to nap on in the afternoon. Project where one person gets stuck with all the work. When someone says I miss you, I think, well, that's nice. But if they take off the exclamation point, I think, wow, they must really miss me. The letter X has more uses in math than in the English language. More of us should be happy simply with the ability to go to bed while it's raining and not wake up wet. Unless you're famous, tweeting is really just sending a text message to nobody in particular. When my text alert sounds, I get excited. When my phone rings, I think I'm in deep shit and panic. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. Pets are the 1% of the animal world. Before the internet, most people lived in an information desert. After, people live in an information flood in the waters unsafe to drink. When someone races past me on a city street at 20 or 30 miles per hour above the speed limit, I feel a small triumphal pleasure when pulling up behind or beside them at the next light. In relation to the Earth, I'm not that far away from where I was born. But in relation to the universe, I'm millions if not billions of miles away from where I was actually born, and I'll likely never return there. Sinks should be located outside of bathrooms, so the public can see people washing their hands, deterring them from skipping out. Not a single one of the countless people forcibly dragged from their cars in GTA is wearing a seatbelt. Itchy and scratches drawn in the same style as the rest of The Simpsons. So to Bart and Lisa, it looks hyper-realistic. Google Maps should have a least stressful route. The most humble person in the world can never acknowledge how humble they are. With the money I spent on my CD collection as a teenager, I could have paid for years and years of Spotify streaming now. Kids are like cell phones. The longer you've had one, the less worried you are about dropping it. You don't realize how unsecure your house is until you lock yourself out. Wearing a suit to your job used to be something of a status symbol. Now being able to wear jeans and a t-shirt is. If my job asks me for 110% of my effort, they should pay me 110% of my salary. Every semicolon I have ever used has been a shot in the dark. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. Finding a mistake on a published book feels like I won the lottery. If my job asks me for 110% of my effort, they should pay me 110% of my salary. Whoever first thought of having a double jump in a game was probably told it's a stupid idea. I lose all respect for myself when I bite my tongue. I have been chewing for over 4 decades. How do I fuck that up? I wonder how many times I've walked by a person who actually found me attractive. Having twins as a first-time parent is like starting a game on hard mode when playing it for the first time. Who am I kidding? If I had superpowers, I'd probably squander them just like I did my real-life potential. The most defeating sound in the world is the sound of singing birds after a sleepless night when you have to get up early the next day. All waiting rooms should have complimentary phone chargers. Nothing seems so much like a personal betrayal to me than when my body wakes me to go to the bathroom 15 minutes before my alarm would go off. No matter how intimidating a person you may be, you become the least intimidating if you have hiccups. Maybe grandparents pretend to be bad with technology so that they have an excuse to spend time with us. I don't like to go running in public because I'm paranoid everybody driving by can tell I never exercise. But when I drive past a jogger I assume they exercise all the time. When I see a skeleton, I always assume it was a male. We have space travel and self-driving cars, but all I want is Google Translate for dogs so I can talk to them about my day. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. Life is just collecting people to come to your funeral. If I got told I was a good boy for eating and being myself, I too would be ecstatic. As a dude, I wish it were more acceptable to just hug people who aren't immediate family. As a kid I brought smiles to truckers' faces when I begged them to pull their air horn. As a trucker I bring smiles to kids' faces when I pull my air horn. Eventually there will be a fish, evolved to look like a piece of floating trash. I wonder if one day the phrase "don't judge a book by its cover" will morph into "don't judge a video by its thumbnail." Culture is just a global version of all that weird shit your family does that you don't realize is weird because you assume everyone's family does that. Rappers act all hard, but all they're doing is reading you their poetry. When waiting on hold, the automated voice that interrupts the elevator music to "thank you for holding" is more annoying than the actual music. When I talk to someone in a dream, I have no idea what the other person is going to say, even though it's my brain creating the entire conversation. I feel like Google should be paying me for the amount of times a day I tell people to Google something. I admire animals that eat grass. Their food is also their bed. I wanna sleep on pancakes. Captain Obvious seems like a lame hero until you realize how few people have common sense. I wish you could just record silence and then play it on loudspeakers on full blast to make the whole room quiet. Women of my generation never say I'm attractive, but my grandmother's friends are always saying what a handsome young man I am, leading me to believe I would have been good looking had I lived in the 1930s. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. The best submissions will be featured in future episodes. Technically almost every mirror you buy at a store is in used condition. The older a man is, the less I question his choice of a hat. I can sleep with socks on, but as soon as I actually realize I have them on, I must take them off to fall asleep. Exercising is free, but we keep finding ways to make it more expensive. The popcorn companies and the microwave companies should sit down and figure out this fucking popcorn button issue. Tolkien had no idea how important he would become to New Zealand's economy. When you bite down on something, you're actually biting up because you can't move your top jaw. In about 10 years, fidget spinners will be part of only 2000's kids will remember posts. At special occasions, girls with curly hair straighten it, and girls with straight hair curl it. When I was younger, I used to love getting phone calls and seeing who was calling me. As an adult, I cringe every time my phone rings. Shrek may unintentionally have the most realistic message of all animated films in that, regardless of inner beauty, people will probably end up with someone who matches them outwardly. Weddings are weird because it's totally socially acceptable to get all your friends and family together, sort them by how much you like them, and place them at tables that shows the ranking based on proximity to you. If a smoker goes into a coma for long enough, do they wake up without a craving to smoke? Claiming to have been hacked is this century's version of the dog ate my homework. Yawning is like the body's 20% battery remaining warning. The generation that warned children about video games is the same generation that falls for pay-to-win games. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. I never notice how much I use a part of my body until I have a cut on it. I wish I could store the random motivation I get at 3 AM in a kind of battery to recharge myself with the next day. People who are lifelong registered organ donors should get priority on organ transplant lists. There would be a lot more donors if that were the case. Being older than Google will one day become the new really old metric, comparable to sliced bread and colored television. Every person you've ever thought was cute has had heaving, grunting, sweating, explosive diarrhea. The generation who bought Pet Rocks doesn't understand the point of fidget spinners. I have never seen a crane being assembled or disassembled. They just appear and disappear. Why didn't you? Sounds perfectly normal. Why did not you? Sounds horribly incorrect. Being on the road is exciting. Being on the street is depressing. If bees earned minimum wage, a jar of honey would cost $182,000. The first predator to evolve from a species of herbivores must have been a pretty fucking terrifying sight for everyone involved. With the rise in popularity of extra long phone charging cables, we've come full circle. We once again have tethered our phones to the wall. In Ratatouille we side with Remy, but all of the humans' actions are completely justifiable when seeing a rat. When I knock on your door, I'm basically punching your house until you talk to me. Part of me thinks my computer starts behaving better when I have Task Manager open, because I'm checking up on its performance. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. If voodoo dolls worked, I would give myself the best back rubs. The best argument that I can come up with for my life not being the Truman Show is that it would have been cancelled by now. You don't realize how hard you chew your food until you bite your tongue. If your birthday was 6 months ago, you were actually born 186 million miles away on the other side of the sun. At some point I worry that self-driving cars will go a route just to ensure you see certain stores or billboards, the real world equivalent of a pop-up ad. Cinderella's dress must have been very revealing if the prince looked at her all evening without being able to remember her face. In all my life I have never seen a baby seagull. They are always the same size. So who's driving? Is going to be the dad joke of the decade when self-driving cars are more of a thing. You don't truly realize how strong your legs are until you try to do a handstand. It would be amazing if when we were put on hold we could talk to other people who are simultaneously on hold. I wonder what it feels like for a video game NPC to give some random nobody 3 gold pieces to cut their grass and then find out like a month later that the guy went on to defeat the great evil that plagued the land. Saying, "I'm unphotogenic," is a socially acceptable way of saying, "I think I'm more attractive than all the best available evidence suggests." I can immediately decide if I find a person good looking, except for when I look at myself, in which case I'm really unsure. Whenever I copy a massive piece of text from something, I feel like I'm holding a massive, unstable power in my mouse until I paste it. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. Not being invited to a wedding is both insulting and relieving at the same time. The Macarena dance is just a slowed down version of what I do when my phone isn't in my front pocket. Eyeglasses make you look smart, but you fail a test to get them. My organs have never seen the light of day. If all goes well, they never will. All I really want is to just live a simple life in the country, surrounded by futuristic technology of my choosing. Why do what makes you happy commercials always show people that like to hike/adventure, and not show people that like to sit in a dimly lit room playing video games for hours on end? You should put a QR code on your graduation cap that links to your resume. It'll show up in so many photos and curiosity will be your referral. The worst part of having the hiccups is having to listen to people tell you their cure for the hiccups. Being a pessimist is awesome, because you're either right or pleasantly surprised. The most unrealistic thing about Toy Story was the fact that the claw machine had the strength to pick up 2 toys. People get offended by an innocent fart, yet would bless you for sneezing, which could easily give them the flu. If you drive behind someone who's driving a really nice car, you can pretend you're driving it in third-person mode. Life is just a series of obstacles preventing you from taking a nap. All of the crazy people that put tape over the cameras on their computers don't seem very crazy anymore. In an English exam, if you ask for extra paper you're doing well. If you ask for extra paper in a maths exam, everyone knows you've fucked up. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. Surgery is stabbing someone to life. If the prison system worked like it's supposed to, hearing someone has been in jail would be relieving rather than scary. A zombie apocalypse sounds even worse when you consider all those smoke detectors beeping for battery changes. We charge more for jobs using our brains than our muscles, but we look after our physical health much more carefully than our mental health. Not once in my adult life have I prepared a burrito for myself without overestimating the amount of filling it can hold. We need glasses for deaf people that, when activated, display subtitles when people are talking. No matter what kind of calculator I'm using, I'm going to hit clear multiple times. Living with your parents past a certain age doesn't make you pathetic. Living off of your parents past a certain age does. Identical twins only have to apply for one gym membership. If plants made gurgling noises when being watered, a rainy day would be the most uncomfortable and awkward thing ever. I'll bet the guy who invented the snooze button never invented anything else. The first dude that accidentally drew an optical illusion must have thought he was going insane. Self-driving cars should be able to connect with smartwatches, so that when the owner has a heart attack, the car can drive him to hospital. Time acts like a little child. As long as you're watching it, it'll stay put. But once you stop paying attention to it, it'll run off and next thing you know, you don't know where your time went. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. Not many things say this is someone else's problem now more than a leaf blower does. The English language allows me to say I don't know without opening my mouth. Hum a low note, a high note, then another low note. Volleyball is just a really intense version of don't let the balloon touch the floor. The phrase in a year's time we'll laugh about it is untrue. I cringe over things that happened when I was 13. If you teach a parrot to say parrot, this is the closest to having a Pokemon. Puberty is like a forced free upgrade for humans. I don't think I have ever picked up a pair of tongs without clicking them together a couple of times. Do microwave companies have a legit reason to make the doors/buttons the loudest things ever? Nowhere does it say that Humpty Dumpty is an egg. As a guy working at a grocery store, I wish girls my age would flirt with me as much as older women and gay men do. I'd like to see a few different successful directors simultaneously direct their own versions of the same script, just to see how differently each film would turn out. The male equivalent of I'll be ready in 10 minutes is, honey, there's only 2 minutes left in the game. All the good skipping rocks are in the middle of the lake. The main thing I've learned on my summer internship is how to pretend to look busy. Cardboard boxes are pretty flimsy until you try to stuff them into the trash can. I only ever say I'm an adult, I can do whatever I want, before I'm about to do something very childish. Scooby-Doo episodes would be much shorter if they went to a costume shop to ask a couple of questions. Click the link below to submit and see more shower thoughts. If sloths were fast, they'd be horrifying. I worry more about getting a ticket for speeding than the actual dangers of speeding. Another really good reason to colonize the moon and Mars is that there won't be any mosquitoes. Every honeybee you've ever seen has never hurt anybody. If it stings you, you're the first jerk it's ever encountered. As a male, I peed once through the crack between the lid and base when sitting down, and now I have a constant fear of doing it again. In 50 years, they'll be able to rerun How It's Made by simply changing the title to How It Was Made. As a kid, when I fell asleep I used to teleport from the couch to my room. Now when I'm older, when I get drunk I teleport from the party to anywhere. You can tell if you're officially old when you fall down in front of other people. If they laugh and point, you're still young. If they look scared and rush to help you, you're old. Time heals everything, yet it slowly kills you. Whenever my laptop freezes and I have to hold the power button to turn it off, it feels like I'm choking it to death. Searching for a new laptop online is basically forcing your current computer to dig its own grave. Seeing my password in plain text feels like seeing somebody naked that I'm not supposed to. Even though hundreds of people write them, Wikipedia pages always sound like they are written by one person. I love apps which don't constantly ask me to rate them, but I guess they'll never know. I'm not really scared of dying, I'm more bummed about all of the technology I'll never get to see. Those trash cans that have a foot pedal to open the lid, we should use the same technique to lift the toilet seat in public restrooms. I have seen more of the surface of the moon with my own eyes than I have of Earth. Of cereal ingredients has decreased dramatically. I'm far more skeptical of meat I cook for myself than a hamburger made by an underpaid/overworked teenage stranger who passes food to me through my car window. People who pee on the toilet seat walk among us every day and we don't even know who they are. I'm glad most people don't actually check signatures. I can't even do my own signature correctly. I have no problem blowing $60 in one night at a bar, but I never buy video games for $60 because they're too expensive. People say enjoy your single life while you can, but no one says enjoy your relationship while it lasts. The best part of a cucumber tastes like the worst part of a watermelon. When I have kids, I'll understand that they can't pause an online game. The devil shakes a pitchfork, the grim reaper swings a scythe. So is farming a big thing in the underworld? I'm not fully committed to the video until I turn my phone sideways. I never realized how much needed to be taught to us until my son asked me if he could pee in the trash can. I've trained my dog to bark at the door whenever he wants to go in or out, but to him, he thinks he has trained me to open the door whenever he barks. As a kid, my chain always came off my bike. As an adult, it hasn't happened once, and I wonder what the hell I was doing. I never questioned my ability to correctly identify images of everyday things until Capture started gaslighting the underlying definition of things like cars, grass, or street signs, leaving me still wondering if the poles are considered part of the sign or not. The purpose of a lock is to turn a door into a wall. I bet pilots silently judge each other's landings whenever they fly as a passenger. A toddler doing senseless things and screaming randomly is like a new player testing out controls in a game. As long as I've been alive, I still have no idea what to do while people are singing happy birthday to me. What if Alexa gets mad and starts ordering parts from Amazon to build herself a body? When I'm staying at a hotel, I only assume that the other rooms also have guests in them. It would be very unsettling to find out I was the only person staying on that entire floor. Humans are naturally persistent hunters that move in packs who can run longer than their prey and can persevere through bodily injuries. Zombies are basically us imagining what it feels like for animals that are hunted by humans. The laws that we are supposed to be fully aware of and abide by are so complex that there is an entire profession dedicated to understanding them. One that takes 8 years to master. If you sold both of your kidneys, you'll be able to afford a $400k funeral. Movie theaters should sell candy in sealed cups. That way the only sound would be the initial opening of the seal instead of the annoying crinkling of the plastic bags throughout the whole movie. Whenever anyone tells me that it's never too late to start something, I take that as meaning I can put it off for longer. It must suck to be an air conditioner repairman. You spend your day working in buildings that have no air conditioning. When it's fixed and finally cool, you leave. Google Play/Apple Store should track how quickly games are deleted off phones after they are downloaded, rather than just how many people download it, so you can weed out bad games quicker. Think about how lucky we are blinking doesn't make a noise. I don't care what you're trying to sell me, but if it pops up when I'm trying to click a link, you'll be sure I'm not buying it. Escalators cannot break, they can only become stairs. I'm convinced every microwave on Earth is either brand new or at least 30 years old. Apples are tastier when you cut them into slices. I love how optimistic bowling alleys are. After every gutter ball it lifts the remaining pins up and sweeps, like it's saying I'm sure you hit something buddy. I wish I had eyelids, so I could just choose to stop hearing sometimes. I'd love to see a reaction video of a flat earther being sent into orbit. The internet was created to share information, and has evolved into a misinformation platform. The people who take forever to text me back are the exact same people who are constantly looking at their phone whenever I'm around them. When I pay for coffee at work, I'm essentially making less money to be more productive. I'm much more likely to stay up to 5 AM than to wake up at 5 AM. My ego makes me think I can do anything, but thankfully my laziness stops me. Perfect balance. My dog has been fed twice a day for its entire 13-year life, but every day he acts like he's never been fed and may never eat again. I would give anything for one day to be a complete stranger to myself and see what I'm like / what people think from an outside perspective. If millennials aren't getting married, eventually they will be blamed for destroying the divorce lawyer market. By always blaming millennials, we are showing that our generation, which raised them, doesn't take responsibility for our problems. Security at every level of an airport is absolutely ridiculous, until you just like take whatever bag you want. There are few things more frightening than pooping in a stranger's toilet, flushing, then watching the water begin to rise. If we mounted cameras on garbage trucks, Google Maps Street View could update weekly. People wouldn't stop a microwave with time left on the clock if there was a don't beep when finished option. In the future, Google Earth will be able to offer entire views of the world as it was hundreds of years ago. If there was a picture of every Joe in the world, we'd finally be able to see what the average Joe looks like. Nudists don't have private parts. Your shit and you ain't shit are both insults. The first man who gave a colorful sparkly stone to a girl really had no idea what he was getting the rest of us into. Adulthood is when 4:30 AM is early in the morning instead of late at night. It's cool that no matter how badly you spell Benedict Cucumber Patch, you still know who it is. If you ever feel useless, just be glad you're not the person who writes the terms and conditions. If we allowed people to adopt tigers as pets, we'd probably save the tiger population while getting our own population under control at the same time. It's not fair that coffee stains your teeth brown, but milk doesn't stain them white. Computer desk jobs are becoming the modern version of factory assembly line jobs. When a tree or object is giving you shade, it is the only thing for 92 million miles between you and the sun. Nothing will have you questioning your taste in music, quite like putting your whole library on shuffle. A tie is just a big arrow pointing at your genitals. To submit your own shower thoughts and be featured in my videos, click the link below. No one has ever set their foot on the moon. There has always been a boot in the middle. The first time someone steals a spaceship and flies away is going to be epic. Technically, all national anthems are country music. Wish we could detach our arms before bed so sleeping on your side would be more comfortable. If you wear a skeleton mask, you're sandwiching your face between skeletons. Spiders would be a lot scarier if they made hives instead of webs. It is much better listening to a song you like unexpectedly than picking one yourself. When you buy Halloween candy to hand out as an adult, it's like you are paying for all the free candy you got when you were a kid. Buying an airline ticket is like paying shipping and handling for yourself. Ketchup makes bad food better but good food worse. Apple stopped being an elite technology company and became a fashion company instead. A pet store is a small zoo with free admission. Getting a drop of water in your milk doesn't matter that much, but if you get a drop of milk in your water, that's completely disgusting. If your front door has a mail slot, you live in a mailbox. Considering that moon landing deniers and flat earthers are a thing today, Mars colony and Earth origin deniers will be a thing in the future. Human life has started to become less about survival and more about finding ways to pass the time until we die. The first person to use a fake mustache as a disguise was probably very successful. Anything is a UFO if you're stupid enough. Attractive nurses probably never get accurate pulse readings from their patients. If youth is wasted on the young, then wealth is wasted on the old. To submit your own shower thoughts and be featured in my videos, click the link below. Does anybody else ever go to the movies and then feel disoriented after you leave the theater, like reality doesn't feel real? Wake up so late you think fuck it, I'm gonna be late anyway, and take your time getting ready? Read okay and okay differently, or is it just me? Sometimes pretend to not know something someone tells you, to avoid seeming like a know-it-all, and to let them feel good about telling you something you didn't know. Leave their notebooks partially filled and have over 10 of them lying around with random notes. Feel awkward when they don't reply to a message for a long time and end up not replying at all. Touch public bathroom handles with a napkin / anything besides bare hands, because you can't trust other people to wash their goddamn hands. Hesitantly update their phone because this moment beforehand may be the last time it ever functions properly. Stare at a blank Word document for hours on end, struggling to form a first sentence, but once paragraph 1 is done the rest flows naturally. Occasionally have nights where it seems as though you're not really sleeping but not fully awake either, and feel really tired in the morning. Get particular songs ruined because you listened to them during a particularly sad time and are reminded of it whenever you hear the songs. Feel pressured to drive faster when there's a car behind you, just so that the other driver doesn't get angry. Get pissed when drivers are in such a hurry to pull out in front of you and then they go really slow. Bit random, but I want to get to know my viewers more. What goals do you currently have that you are working towards? Comment below and I will read and reply to as many as possible. When we say Control, Alt, Delete out loud, we don't use the full version of Alt. If it was actually possible to project a bat signal onto clouds, the night sky would be awash with advertisements in every city. The first 100 people on Mars are going to set a lot of world records there. Calves drink their mother cow's milk until they're old enough to realize one day they can just eat the floor. A fingerprint sensor on your phone is a 1-digit password. Millions of innocent cats have been held up in the air because of Lion King. Running would sound way different if our butt cracks were horizontal. The more talented the actor, the less likely we are to know what they're really like. Apple spent billions to build